Kampala Edge Times. Did it spell? We got it.
Welcome aboard to Kampala Edge Times once again. I am your host, John Kenny, as I bring to you another episode of Edge Talks this year 2022 in May. Thank you for joining us. And today I want to inform you that I'm at Kyambogo University. Hi everyone from Kyambogo University. So today we are going to discuss a vital topic that is affecting this country. The topic of the heightening prices of commodities, starting from fuel to food to all the other commodities like sugar, soap, and we have been seeing trends like advising us to switch to cassava instead of bread, and then we saw Nabanja advising us that if soap is expensive, we can switch to pawpaw leaves. Those things have been causing a lot of misunderstandings in the population, and today we have to discuss this. To do that, I have a powerful guest with me, and this is not his first time on the show, Mr. Okori Brian. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Nice being here again. Kampala Edge Times is home. Welcome to Kyambogo University.
Thank you. I do have to admit that Kyambogo University is one of those serene environments that when you walk into, you really feel the breeze. It's a different place from the rest of the places. I've been to Makerere. Yes, Makerere is beautiful, but it doesn't have that homely feeling. Kyambogo feels like home. So, Mr. Okori Brian, you know what brings you to the show today?
Yes.
Definitely, we are discussing something deeper than just helping students go back to school.
Oh.
Yes.
I think today I'm not in the capacity of only the student and the student's leader, but we are looking at a national perspective because this is affecting everybody. And the issue of prices has been a really serious issue. Everybody has talked about it, and no solutions are coming. So I believe maybe as we discuss, we shall dissect a few of remedies we can look at as a nation to calm down this issue entirely.
Most likely, for sure.
Yeah, it's.
I want to thank you once again for honoring our invitation to the show and making me move to Kyambogo. I think I don't regret coming to this place. Now, let's go right into the topic. We are discussing the increase in prices of commodities. I mean, how did this start? Where did it start from? Why are we seeing this internationally? Because I have seen people in Nigeria as well raising complaints about heightening food prices. 1 month ago, it was in Kenya, and I thought it was a Kenyan problem. Here we are.
I think this nation, one time, formally came out and through the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, trying to clarify that the reason as to why fuel by then was increasing was because of the COVID testing and what at the border. So there were a lot of trucks that were parking up there. But after some time, when they even waived off the testing, we saw the prices are still persisting. And now this is the time when a nation as this should now look at how do we interest our economists in helping us understand the real issue. Economics, when you look at I keep referring to the market structures because most of these companies and businesses have market structures they belong to. The only market structure that has liberty to freely set their prices are under the monopoly ones. For example, Umeme is a monopoly of its own, so it can set the price of power and you will debate about it, but nothing can change about it. But most of these companies that have now heightened their prices are basically under competition somehow, and we expect them to be respecting the forces of demand and supply. Again, from the perspective of economic instability, we look at it as there is inflation in the country because they say inflation is a persistent increase of price of goods and services over a given period of time. So if you have inflation, what are the remedies? We clearly want to see government come up with a plan on how they are going to cut down these prices. And this can come from back of Uganda that regulates supply of money and circulation of money in the country. And also the Ministry of Finance exactly, and the Private Sector Foundation, most importantly.
Now, if I may pause you right there, I have to emphasize the fact that this is an international problem. Like, literally, Africa generally is experiencing high-heightening prices. By the time Nigeria is one of the most prominent countries in Africa.
Yes.
And if they are experiencing high prices, there are very high chances that every country is experiencing this. So, my question still remains, where do you think this started from?
Now, where I think it started from is basically the Russia conflict, because during the time when Russia and Ukraine were conflicting, you know that Russia is the biggest supplier of oil in the entire world.
That's right.
And most of us, the African states, really consume from them. Even the African states that have oil don't refine it from here. They export crude oil that's refined from there and then they send it this side. So I think the Russia conflict might be the main issue. But again, there are individuals who are using this situation to exploit the citizens out there. And that's where my point is. Because if it is true that yes, the fuel costs have gone up and we are suffering, that is true. So if you as Bidiko, let's say, why do you say soap is now thrice the price? You should really account for us that now, if it was 3,000, why is it 9,000 now?
What if they are trying to compensate their transport costs? I mean, they also invest in fuel.
And I'm saying they invest in fuel. Okay, let's look at the fuel. How much has fuel increased? Has it increased 3 times the previous cost? It was around 4,000 before 38, but now it is 5,000 something. So you cannot basically use this fuel factor to say that I'm now going to increase my products times 3 or times 4. The prices, I mean, because inflation is happening, it is a global problem. So there are people who are using this opportunity to manipulate and exploit Ugandans. Now, this is where governments should step in from to say, no, listen, this is wrong. We are having a minimum price for this. That's price legislation. Don't sell soap above 6,000.
But as far as we know, I have never seen the government emphasize, okay, the government may come out and say that this is the price for this, probably maybe transport costs from Tororo to Malaba to be charging this. But they will never come out to enforce that.
I have been talking about the price legislation, and that's where government has a key role in trying to say this is a minimum price and this is a maximum price that you can have commodities out. I saw a seal letter one time from the Minister of Transport where they are trying to guide on the increment on the travel fares. That was rubbish. Prices in such an economy are supposed to be determined by the forces of demand and supply. The more people demand, the lesser the price, if you know the law of demand. And that's what we think things should be. Besides, these are essential commodities. Exactly. Government should come in play because soap, sugar, oil, all those things are essential commodities. You can't live without them. I heard you in the introduction saying that Nava just said we use purple leaves if you cannot afford soap. That is rubbish of her. You cannot speak that way if we are saying that now, since they keep celebrating the NRM as cause transit, if you have transited already, then why are you taking us back to the days that you used to use purple leaves? Let us now use the soap.
Interesting.
We enjoy the new yellow wave because you brought it for us now. Let's enjoy it and please stand for it. As Prime Minister or as anybody of government business, stand for it.
But if I may ask, what do you think these leaders are basing on to give these points of telling us to switch to primitive standards of living?
The hands are tied.
I mean, if you have studied history, King Louis the 16th, was he the 16th or the 17th? His wife spoke at an angry mob. Actually, this mob was both hungry and angry.
It's a very sad state.
Yes. So she told them, if you cannot afford bread, go and buy cakes. And this was the highest form of, looking at the society as fools, looking at the state as fools. So it ended up in a whole revolution. Her head was guillotined, and it also led to the death of her husband as well. I mean, this is some form of, I don't know what's the right word. It's some form of, sarcasm. They're being sarcastic or they're being helpful. Because over the news, I was able to hear someone say that we should take these statements in good faith. But how are we going to take such statements in good faith when they are really unrealistic? You can't replace bread with
cassava.
Yes, it's literally.
I think the issue of cassava and bread, meal comes from Lango. They eat cassava every day. If that's type of food, you better give them cassava than give them bread every day. So I think Museveni, in his own mind, was only trying to introduce cassava to the entire nation. But for us this side, we are comfortable with eating it, and it has always been the type of food. But now the point here is, instead of him addressing real issues, he comes out with he thinks he's an orator. That's the problem. He comes out with funny statements, joking, and then he wants to run over things. I say this in a funny way, people laugh off. Let's continue.
And they move forward.
Okay. Those statements are very wrong and bad statements. You can't say them as the head of state anywhere, and people will be comfortable with you. On Labor Day, Uhuru Kenyatta was speaking about minimum wages. Was trying to say, please don't exploit Kenyan. Don't employ a Kenyan don't employ a Kenyan and pay them a wage less by this given amount of money. And in Uganda here, the bill has never been talked about. Whenever it reaches the president's table, it's bounced back to Parliament. Meaning, what I want you to know is that these companies belong to this present government. And I'm going to say it categorically clear again. It's going to be on record. At the time I said it and they cropped it out in some interview. I hope you don't crop it out as well. These companies belong to these people. Okay. These companies are theirs, these profits are theirs. So they don't care on how Ugandans feel the burden. But if it was in a state where we have leaders who care, I can assure you these people can be brought to order. They can be brought to order, they can be talked to and tell them don't do this.
As we are moving towards the effects of these statements, we have seen students at Kyambogo. Actually, that is why we are doing this interview at Kyambogo today, because apparently we have seen a few arrests of students because they demonstrated against the hiking prices, especially for food and other basic needs like soap. And we have to discuss this. What led to these arrests? What is the immediate cause of the arrest of these students?
I think before we get to what led to the arrest, let us understand what led to the demonstration by these students. These students are very frustrated. In Kyambogo here, days back, we saw students come out to demonstrate. These are government students, not supposed to get a given amount of money for their survival. As I don't know why they call them grants or something to them, the government students. But they never get this money. Some of these people are from armed backgrounds, and when they come, since your father or mother knows you're in government, say, go and study. The best we can give you is a mattress and a case. You cannot tell me that you will give me even what belongs to me per se in the next semester when I'm supposed to use it in this semester. How do you expect them to live? That's one. Besides that, how do you expect them to live is prices are very expensive. Even when these small monies are given to them, they cannot carry on. Now, these students are trying to send out a message that they have dialogued enough, they have tried. There is a time we as Musa as well wrote to the IGP asking him to give us space to lead a peaceful demonstration to deliver our petition to Parliament. Over the high prices, they denied to give us access to that. And we do not want to get to the walls because there are acts as well that can restrain us from doing that. But these students must have exhausted all the local remedies. They have dialogued maybe, they have made phone calls maybe, they have gone to the guild presidents maybe, and there are no answers. I talked to some of them. I was at police myself when I interacted with some of them, and one is telling you we're supposed to begin exams next week, but about paid tuition. And the issue of tuition is very serious. But again, there is no way that a parent will save to bring the tuition when the economy is entirely bad in this way that prices are very high. Extremely. If I was saving 10,000 shillings every day, I can't save it anymore now. Because everybody you go to, prices are high. Even those who are being affected by high prices, even these Boda men. Yes. These Boda men, because ones use fuel, these ones use energy of bicycles. Also saying prices are high. So prices for doing what? For buying grease, put your bicycle right to what? Or for having lunch to get energy to go and ride the bicycle again. So I think, as I told you, that this scenario now is helping giving people to exploit Ugandans. The students have a point, serious point. They were delivering a petition over the high prices. It affects them directly. Sanitary pads have increased in price. So if sanitary pads as well, the prices have gone high, what do you expect the girls to use? That's a dropout.
Or turning to sugar daddies. Who knows?
Maybe the sugar daddies don't have money now because of the high prices, so you turn to who? Everybody is coming crying in the country. Funny. Yeah, even the sugar daddy is saying, I can't drive, let me food to somewhere and do a few more things. Yeah, vehicles, people are parking vehicles.
That's right.
It's no longer fun having a
Every day I wake up in the morning and I listen to KFM. They are always talking about cars, teaching people how to save fuel, how you should not keep your engine running throughout the day.
So that is, for the arrest, it's very unfortunate to understand those comrades who have been arrested. I know that they're gone for a good cause, and we as students of this country, personally, are very proud of them.
How about the ones who were demonstrating against the hiking food prices?
When they say commodities, I thought we were embedding all those ones. But again, the hiking food prices is very important because commodities entirely. And those are the ones I was sending a message to. Those particular ones who are demonstrating for high commodity prices. Because they are not speaking only for the students, but for the entire country. That's right. Many people cannot come out clearly and say that. But I believe wherever they have the same issues. There are people out of Kampala who can't access Kampala to do the same demonstration, or they are doing it but the media can't give them attention. So these ones who, the 16 or 20 who woke up and said, let's move and deliver this petition, and let's prove these people that we are oppressed enough. They are very good people.
Maybe at this
point,
point,
a very good thing, because in this country, whether you wrote 80 letters, nobody will reply to you. They listen to this defiant way of doing things. You don't listen to dialogue. And if that's how they want things to be done, over and over, it shall become a violent nation.
Maybe if I may ask, okay, it looks like you've already answered, but still let me ask. It looks like in Uganda, it's impossible to use demonstrations to send a message. Most people who are demonstrating are usually either sent to jail, or they get quiet in a certain way, or they appear from nowhere on the other side. You get. So I don't know, what is the best way you think people can tell the government to maybe cause a change whenever they need one? Teachers, I saw doctors a few months ago, I think it was last year, when they demonstrated, and I think some were arrested, something of that sort. So what is the best way that this government really understands that someone out there can use without getting a scotch?
This government is a military government, and they will not listen to anybody who will come to them in peace and dialogue. I think we have seen very many demonstrations bring change. They walk to work, you saw it. By that time, I think it was fuel or something as well. It caused a significant change. And people now are left with only one resolution in this country. It is to wait again for this remaining 3 or something years and vote right leadership. Because these people, I don't think, are working anymore for anybody. They have their own interests now. The moment you stay so long, you work for everybody, work for people already. Now you start working for yourself to go home. And they don't care about these prices. Some of them don't move to these shops directly. Some of them look at Uganda as blowing sirens, drive me home, a minister. They don't know how many, the 60% or something of those in the subsistence sector who don't catch money in a day. They don't know how many of the women die per day while giving birth. How many die of TB? They don't know about those things. It's not their business. So when we come to reality, you really see a fallen nation staggering, but being taken in the wrong direction by the wrong people. So right leadership is the first thing. The moment, even if it's an organization, the moment an organization has a wrong leader, they'll have wrong strategic plans, wrong operational plans, and they will implement nothing. No profits will come in that organization. In case there's profit making, it's not profit making, it will definitely fall. Nobody will get an impact from it. So that's Uganda now. So if you're looking at Uganda as that state, I saw you comparing us with countries like Nigeria. You know GDP of Nigeria? Only Lagos, only the GDP of Lagos as a city is the GDP of Uganda. A city in Nigeria. You make your research over that, you'll see. GDP of Lagos. Lagos has 30 million new citizens. And if you look at the per capita of those citizens in that city particularly, you don't talk about Uganda. So you want to tell me Lagos is older than Uganda? When did you get independence? What went wrong? You will keep saying we have been in periods of war. You've not been fighting for 30 years now. Go to South Sudan that you say that has been in war. Juba is developing drastically. Juba is developing drastically, the capital city of South Sudan. It's not like Kampala here.
So what went wrong with Kampala?
I think
leadership
is most important. When you don't, I think that leadership is core in management of anything. When a leader has no vision for his people, forget about output. So these things of prices, we'll talk about them. These people are comfortable. They don't feel this impact directly. Now you is feeling it. You have nothing much you can change. Members of parliament have talked about these things of prices. They're not quiet. A couple of them have re-echoed and echoed. You will pass policies. Now, this thing I've told it's about price legislation, clear policies in the private sector foundation to have these prices come down. Because if you talk this private sector foundation, that's a union that brings together all these companies in the private sector. So you will get there the BDCO, the Mukwanos, and what you tell them. And besides, where these companies are even enjoying from is that the prices are high, but people are still consuming.
That's right.
So I'm wondering as well, so if there is a lot of money in circulation, then who are people who have money? And that's what happens in a time of inflation. Prices are high, consumption is high. And so you not say that people cannot afford People are still affording, shop is 7,000, the person is still going to do what? To buy. But you don't know what they're spending. The money they would have spent in investing in economic growth, they're now spending on consumption.
That's right.
So you as a nation, you're not looking at that aspect of what will our GDP be. You'll be looking at this small taxes you're getting directly from consumption, but you're not looking at the growth at the end of the day. So this serious economy is to help us as a state.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Okori Brian. That was quite a deep explanation from this gentleman. I mean, a lot of comments have come out of him. A lot of people are struggling in this country, to get jobs. Jobs are really scarce, and even the ones that are available are quite complicated. They have complicated terms and conditions. You may be doing a piece of work worth 3 digits and you get 2 digits, or you do a piece of work worth 4 digits and you get 3 digits, which is very tough for the average Ugandan. So leaders out there, if you have watched this video, if you get the chance to watch this video, please make sure you take into consideration the words you speak to the country. You may speak them as by the ways, but as a leader, these words do matter. They are taken into consideration by the citizens. So as you speak, it's better to speak in terms of solutions. Thank you for honoring our invitation to Kampala Edge Times. It has been an amazing experience having you here, Mr. Okori Brian.
Kampala Edge Times home. Though my economics are not so good, but I believe from a perspective of that Ugandan who is living in a very hard economy, that is the best we can say. We have no kind words for people who do not care about us. We shall not care about them too. Thank you.
So what message do you have for the viewers out there?
For the viewers, the students of Uganda, we say vumilia in Swahili. Stay strong. Those who have just been arrested and been taken to court, stay strong as well. We know we'll stand with you and you will be released and you'll come back to continue with your academic obligations. For the young people, it's another time that we should involve ourselves in the pro-developmental things and things that can develop us as individuals and develop the entire country at large. Otherwise, I'm happy. Students of Kyambogo, thank you as well for following if you're on. We're entirely happy having this episode from here. Thank you.
It's my pleasure hosting you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. I remain John Kenny Adea. Once again, we shall meet in the next episode. Ciao.
Kampala Edge Times. Did it spell? We got it.